He's heating up.
What's good, everybody? It is playoff time in NBA, NCAA men's, NCAA women's tournament through the alley-oop. Now it's playoff time in April. So tonight we got the play-in tournament. Kicks off with Miami and Atlanta. Then it shifts to LA versus the Timberwolves. My biggest thing tonight: can Jimmy Butler send a message early and put the Hawks away right off the bat? Past, I think it was last season, they went 4-1 versus the Hawks in the playoffs. You add in Murray to that equation. Wonder how they figure out how to go against Miami and their schemes, knowing what the game plan is going to be. Take Trae Young out of it as quickly as possible. They're going to be hounding him tonight. All right, so if Jimmy Butler can put a stamp on the game early, hopefully there's a Bam Adebayo sighting. Get this thing done early, put the kids away. LA, all right, report came out Anthony Davis shooting 37% versus Karl Anthony Towns. I feel like he's going to go off. I have that feeling. I think he's going to come in on a mission finally and be that Anthony Davis we know he can be. I think a few years ago, he should have been the finals MVP. Not because he had the numbers or anything like that. I think that should have been his approach, is what I'm trying to say. If he's going to be that next guy after LeBron walks away or retires, he's got to show me something in this playoffs, and I think that starts tonight. So the Lakers take out Minnesota. Miami takes out the Hawks. I think Toronto and Chicago, that's a toss-up for me. Basically, it's whoever's been at home the past couple of seasons is going to win that game. Toronto has the upper hand this season. They're 2-1 and won both games at home. Chicago is going to be on the road. They're going to be in a hostile environment. How does DeMar DeRozan handle going back to the place that he called home for so long in Toronto? So it's a toss-up for me, but I'm leaning towards the home team, considering how that's been going for the past couple seasons. Now, New Orleans and OKC, okay? The problem I have with that matchup is Oklahoma City is so unpredictable with the other guys. Who's going to have the hot hand? You already know SGA is going to come out and do his thing. He's going to get busy, but who else is going to get it going? It could be either Jalen Williams, Jalen with a Y, or it could be Dort. So it's a pick me on that one. Then you have Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey's probably one of my favorite young players. I say it every time I start talking. Josh Giddey is one of my favorite guys in the league. Not flashy, not the most athletic, but he's just out there hooping. He's probably going to give you 7 and 7. I mean, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 15 points. But if Brandon Ingram comes out and he puts his handprint or his fingerprint on this game, and has a night the way he had a series against Phoenix last year in the playoffs, I have a hard time seeing New Orleans go home. So, experiences on that side of the fence. You got Murphy, he's been playing well. You still got CJ, you still got Brandon Ingram. So I'm leaning heavily to the Pelicans in that one. Minnesota versus New Orleans. Minnesota versus New Orleans. I might go with Minnesota on that one, because then you'll have Rudy Gobert back in the lineup. He's been suspended for tonight's game. I don't know how you make that decision, considering it's a play-in and playoff situation. But I guess you got to do what's best for the locker room, and the best decision for the locker room is sitting him out for the game. That's fine. But I think they bounce back, beat New Orleans. You got Anthony Edwards, you got Cat, you got Rudy Gobert. You still have enough guys to get the job done, and the more talented team this time of year is going to win that game. I gotta go with Minnesota. So it's going to be the Lakers in the 7th seed, the Timberwolves in the 8th seed. Eastern Conference is going to come down to Toronto and Atlanta for that 8th spot. Also got to consider who's going to give Milwaukee the most problems. I'll go with Toronto. I'll go with Miami at 7th seed, Toronto in the 8th seed. So from that point on, this is how it's going to look. Okay, so this is the 1 versus 8 matchup. Denver versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Denver's a little vulnerable at this point. They're a little vulnerable. Mike Malone knows it. And you know what's crazy is, if I'm the Lakers, do you make a strategy move and possibly put a minutes restriction on somebody? I don't like the terminology, to throw the game, but you don't make it easy on yourselves to win the game, because The Denver Nuggets is like Rocky and Rocky 3. Mike Malone is the coach, Mick. And the Lakers are Clubber Lang. If you know the movie, you know where I'm headed with this. All right. That first fight, Clubber Lang was on one. Rocky's head wasn't in the game. He wasn't focused through his training. He was vulnerable. Clubber came out, put it on him. I think if the Lakers are in the 8th seed, they could knock Denver off in 6 games. But since it's Denver and Minnesota, I don't think Minnesota has enough to compete with Denver. You'll have Murray, you'll have Gordon, you'll have Joker, and then I mean, Michael Porter Jr. He's the wild card for me because he can go off at any given moment, but can he be consistent? All right, it's one night he has 12 to 15 or I mean maybe 12 points, and then another night he's in the 25 to 30. Can he be that 15 to 20 every single night? Knock down his open shots when he has to. Chills on the volume shots, but I like Denver going against Minnesota. I got that series. I want to say I don't think they have a killer instinct to do a gentleman sweep in 5. They're not going to sweep them in 4. I think that series goes 6. I think they drop maybe 1 or 2 on the road. So I'm going Denver in 6 in that one. You got Phoenix versus the Clippers. I think it's been, maybe 2017, Kawhi got hurt versus Golden State. So maybe 2013, 2014 might have been the last time that Kawhi and KD were actually healthy when they played against each other in the playoffs. The problem that the Clippers have is no Paul George at the moment. Okay, he's going to miss part of that series. You still have Russell Westbrook, and anytime he goes head to head with Kevin Durant, he's going to be at his best. Okay, I don't think it's going to be enough though, considering the fact that you still have Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, KD, Devin Booker. You have so many weapons, so many guys. And then also you bring in Terrence Ross, who is a flamethrower off the bench. He can disrupt any flow. And I'm not sure how healthy TJ Warren is. But do the Clippers have enough guys to consistently throw at KD and throw at Booker and throw at Paul and throw at Ayton? Because those are the type of guys that can get to the free throw line if you're not playing basketball the right way. I'm talking about not going for steals, not reaching in the passing lane, not helping too early or too often off of the guys in the corner that can shoot threes. Like I said, Terrence Ross is one of those guys. Book can get hot. We know what Kevin Durant is, the Slim Reaper. I got this series going. I can't see this series going any less than 6. So if Paul George is able to come in maybe in the 3rd or 4th game, I think this series goes the long haul. I think Phoenix in 7. Clippers versus Golden State. Golden State is primed for one of those, not necessarily a surprise run, but one of those don't forget about us moments, okay? Sacramento Kings have been talked about as one of those teams that are young, up and coming. They can get it going. I just don't think this is their year, okay? They still have to learn how to win in these moments. They were great in the regular season, and I said in my preseason assessment of this team, they're going to be dangerous, especially with Mike Brown at the helm. They have everything that they can possibly want to push this team to the next level, just not this season. Golden State is going to have, don't forget about me, they're going to have one of those moments in the playoffs. So I got Golden State. And especially considering the fact that playing against Sacramento, they're not really traveling that far. They're not traveling that far at all. Only a couple hours difference from Sacramento to Oakland. So I think this bodes a little bit better versus them going across the country and, back and forth traveling, that everybody thinks about when you come to the playoffs. I mean, they're not going all the way to Memphis, so I think I like Golden State in 7. Got to factor in the fact that, they're going to have their lulls on the road. If they can get at least one, the series goes the distance. I don't expect Golden State to go home in the first round. Now, I took the Lakers, all right, at the 7th seed. Memphis, they're another team that's vulnerable right now. All the issues off the court with John Morant, and you don't have Steven Adams back in the fold just yet. Dylan Brooks, he's going to run his mouth. And that's all LeBron needs to get himself going. Not to mention, you still have D'Angelo Russell. So everything that John Morant's going to be doing, you're gonna be able to kind of offset that with the combination of Russell and Dennis Schroeder. Now, Austin Reeves is going to be key in that series because there's always going to be the 1, 2, 3, like the three main guys. If they can get Austin Reeves going and have a fourth guy to combat what Memphis is doing with Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, and then you add in Jaren Jackson, who's a defensive player of the year. He's hovering around that range where he could actually pull out winning it this year. Okay, in my opinion, he might be able to get it, but you gotta have that fourth guy that can do something else. Okay, and Austin Reeves is closing the season on a great run. I think he had maybe 6 or 7 games straight where he just played phenomenal basketball. So if he can be that other guy, I got the Lakers winning this one in 6. Okay, so we got Denver versus Phoenix. We got Golden State versus potentially the Lakers. You know what? I might have to change my pick. Because I think all of the off the court issues, and then bringing the team back together, I think that might bode well for Memphis. Might be able to just lock in on just basketball now, because you had all the off the court stuff. I think that might bode well for Phoenix. I think this year we see Memphis, Golden State, and Phoenix and Denver. Again, Denver is vulnerable, and the Phoenix Suns have not lost a single game since Kevin Durant's been there. I gotta say Phoenix in 5. I'll say Phoenix in 5 because when Kevin Durant, okay, is playing at his best, when Devin Booker is playing at his best, I think it's just coming at you in waves that you can't seem to get a footing on how to guard these guys, how to stop them. If KD is on one, I'm talking 30 points, 8 rebounds, 5 or 6 assists. You got Devin Booker putting up 30. Think he gives you 6 assists. Chris Paul, he's around double figures, but he's also going to be, pushing that double range. And DeAndre Ayton, I need 15 and 10 from him. I don't see how Denver can combat the waves of scoring that Phoenix has in their arsenal. Anytime you pair Kevin Durant up with another superstar scorer, it's going to be tough to guard them. Granted, in Brooklyn, it didn't work out with Kyrie this season, or last season, considering, Kyrie's situation with the New York government. But anytime that Kevin Durant has paired up with another superstar, whether it be Kyrie, Devin Booker, Steph, and Clay, anytime he's done that, and Westbrook, it's extremely tough to out him in 7 games. I don't see Denver having anybody that can respond to his level of play, especially with the experience of Chris Paul and those guys. It's going to be tough. I got Phoenix in 5. Now, do I ignore all the signs, okay, of Golden State's woes when they played the Memphis Grizzlies? Do I ignore all of the hype surrounding this series and the back and forth and the trash talk and Klay Thompson calling out Dylan Brooks in his championship speech, and Klay Thompson calling out Dylan Brooks earlier this season, saying he's trash and nobody's gonna remember him when he walks away from the game? Is that going to be enough motivation for Memphis to get over the hump this time when they're playing Golden State in a series? I don't know. But what I will say is this. If we see the Steph Curry that we seen last season, Memphis is out of this in maybe 6 games. Now, is that a biased opinion? Quite possibly. Is there reason to believe that Steph, Clay, Draymond, Jordan Poole, Kevon Looney, DiVincenzo, they're welcoming back Andrew Wiggins into the fold? That might be another key too, because Wiggs missed majority of these matchups with Memphis this season. Is that something that we can say, you know what? Golden State's healthy, they're whole again, they get over the hump. I got Golden State in 7 games. Now, actually, I got Golden State in 6 games. Again, you're welcome to disagree. I'm not saying I'm a genius and I know everything, but this is just watching the games, understand what's been unfolding this season, the stories that's being told up to this point. This is just how I'm feeling right now. It could change by tomorrow, literally by tomorrow. Okay, so, and I was just testing this out. This is not my final thoughts on these 2 series, but Like I said, we got Toronto in the 8th seed, Miami in the 7th seed. Those are my two picks. I got Milwaukee winning this in 5. I'm gonna leave that there. I think Giannis is gonna be on the mission. All right, you gotta send that message early in the first round. Put the kids away early. Okay. I think he's gonna get the job done against Toronto. Toronto does pose a few problems size wise. So 5 is gonna be a gentleman's sweep, but the Raptors are gonna put up a good fight. Cleveland. I don't have Cleveland in 5. I got Cleveland in 7. Cleveland in 7 versus the New York Knicks, because this is going to be important, okay, for both teams. Donovan Mitchell and Julius Randle have got to understand that this series in particular, those two guys can't continuously focus on themselves getting off, themselves going on scoring runs, putting up 30, 35. They cannot be the focus, because guess what? Their teams are better in respective manners. The Cleveland Cavaliers are better when DG is running the show. DG is in his rhythm, because his rhythm versus Donovan Mitchell's, his rhythm is I can get my own shot. I can pull up, knock down a 3. My shot is going, but also the pick and roll is going. Now I'm driving and kicking. Now I'm hitting the guy rolling. The way DG gets going is he makes sure that Jared Allen is involved. He makes sure Evan Mobley is involved. And Evan Mobley is going to be the X factor in this series, because we're going to see if he can take that jump, because we've seen DG take it. We've seen Donovan Mitchell, what he's been able to do in the playoffs back in Utah. So this is going to be important for Evan Mobley to put his stamp on this league and say, hey, I've arrived. So I like Cleveland in 7. If Jalen Brunson can run the show for the Knicks, okay, if you let Jalen Brunson be in complete and utter control and not get caught up in the back and forth scoring with Randle and Mitchell, okay? Randle has to be disciplined in this playoff series. If Brunson is able to run the show, how he's been running the show the entire season, you can tell when they're winning games, when they're on a consistent flow, he's at the helm of that. I think this goes the distance. But the deciding factor is going to be this. The New York Knicks have the disadvantage of playing at the Garden. They're the only team in the entire league where you go there and you're excited to go. It is the mecca of basketball. This is New York City, Madison Square Garden. Teams are looking forward to the opportunity in playing in such a historic venue. Donovan Mitchell will have a 40-point game in the Garden this playoffs. I guarantee you. There's no way you can avoid that. He's a great young player. He's been on scoring runs his entire career, especially in the playoffs. He will have a 40-point game in the Garden. That is going to be one of the deciding games of this entire series. If he gets a 40 in the Garden, Cleveland wins in 7. Now, this dude right here, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, this is going to be one of the most important series of his career. Not because of the magnitude of the matchup, the psychology of it. Embiid has to flip the switch from regular season for the first time and say, I'm not concerned with the MVP. Forget about it. Don't bring it up no more. It's the playoffs. Nobody cares. Regular season is over with. He has to send the message both to his team and the Brooklyn Nets. You're going home within 5 games. They have Bridges, Dinwiddie, Cam Johnson. They have talented guys, a lot of length, a lot of young guys, but they don't have an Embiid stopper, okay? I don't care about James Harden. I don't care about Maxey, and I don't care about Harris. This series is about Joel Embiid sending a message saying, I'm that guy. Philly, Brooklyn goes home in 5. Okay, that is the most I'm giving them is 1 game. The most I am allowing the Nets to get is 1 game. Other than that, you're going home. Now, we can talk about biased opinions, okay? This may be a little bit biased, but there is some logic behind me saying that Miami could knock off Boston. This close. One missed off the front end of the rim, and Miami's going to the NBA Finals. Other than that, Boston had him, right? Miami came back, made a run at the end of the game. Jimmy takes a pull-up jumper. I want him to take that shot. He earned the right to take that shot. I think Miami can beat Boston. It's not biased because I've seen them beat Boston, first of all. And every time one beats the other, it's been for the conference finals. Miami got the first time. Boston got last season. I think Jimmy is fixated on the fact that they're finally being counted out and disrespected the same way they were the first year he came to Miami. Now that that's in play, I think Tyler Hero's going to feed off of it. Bam's going to feed off of it. Kyle's going to feed off of it. And the addition of Kevin Love is so intelligent because what it does is that two big man lineup with Horford and Williams caused problems last season for Miami with Bam and Caleb Martin playing the floor together. You add in Kevin Love. He's not the rim protector, so he's probably going to be out there guarding Horford. Bam can hang around the rim, protect the basket, and everybody else hold their own. That's what Miami struggled with. When the defense broke them down, Bam was not at the rim to protect. Now he will be. I think Miami has a better chance to beat Boston. Boston has to get over this hump, okay? What are we going to do when Jason Tatum is not going? When he's not rolling, who's going to step up? The reason this is important is because you brought in Malcolm Brogdon and you have Derek White. Malcolm Brogdon is a guy that's always had Miami guards' number. Going back to when he was in Milwaukee, going back to when he was in Indiana, he's always given them problems. So if Brogdon can play well, Boston is going to be able to beat Miami. But I got Miami in 7. Biased pick, that's okay. We're allowed those. I'm a Heat fan. Everybody knew that when you came to the channel. But let's get back up here. All right. I think this is a 6-game series, Milwaukee in 6. Cleveland is a very respectable team defensively. DG is going to give problems to whoever's guarding them. The fact that Drew Holiday is going to be on Mitchell, DG is going to be open to operate and do whatever he wants. I see DG averaging maybe between 20 and 25, 3 or 4 rebounds, but around 7 or 8 assists a night. If he can do that, he's going to give Cleveland a chance versus Milwaukee. But again, put the kids to bed. That is going to be the theme this entire playoff run. Put the kids to bed. There's nobody on the planet that's going to be able to stop Giannis. And if Drew Holiday starts cooking, if Brook Lopez starts cooking, if you have guys coming into the game that can keep that same intensity level up and be able to score efficiently, Bobby Portis is going to be important too. He's been a double-double machine all season. Brook Lopez being able to stretch the floor a little bit and open up the floor so that Giannis can go to work, because guess what? They have length. They have Jared Allen. They have Evan Mobley. So they're going to be able to switch a lot of things. It's going to be a strong test for Evan Mobley. Like I said in the first round, he needs to announce that he's arrived. When they play Milwaukee, he's going to have to hold his own because he's the guy that's going to be guarding him majority of the time. Can he get it done? Probably not. But there's no shame in that. Giannis is the best player in the world. I got Milwaukee in 6. Philly and Miami. That's a problem that Miami has been able to solve quite often. When Jimmy Butler goes against Joel Embiid, when he goes against James Harden, we've seen it last season. Miami in 6. They looked each other eye to eye. Embiid said they going home. Jimmy Butler looked right back at Embiid, said they're not going to win another game. Go back and correct me if I'm wrong. Philly didn't win another game. So Embiid has got to show me that he can put Miami out of their misery. James Harden is going to be the most important player in that series because we know what Embiid can do. We know what Maxey does when he plays against Miami. How he just goes crazy against their guards. It's going to be a tall order, but I think Philly can get the job done finally. It pains me to say. It pains me to say simply because I want Philly to just get over that hump so everybody can leave Embiid alone. This is going to be the first time I don't allow bias into the situation, but I think Philly in 7. Home court advantage is going to be a big deal. Now, we got Philly and Milwaukee, and I think on the other side, we got Phoenix and Golden State. Phoenix and Golden State is going to be a little bit different because now you have Andrew Wiggins into the fold. I don't think Golden State has enough to go the length. I don't think they have enough at this point, all right? You spend so much energy trying to climb out of the play-in situation, climb back into the playoff picture. You expend a lot of energy late in the season, both on Steph's part and Klay's part. And then Draymond, those guys are getting a little bit older, but that's not necessarily going to come into play in this instance. Golden State is simply tired for how long they've had to fight mentally and physically late in the season to get out of the play-in. Kevin Durant's more than rested. He's only played 47 games this year. Him going against Andrew Wiggins, that's going to be a big matchup because if Andrew Wiggins gets in foul trouble versus him, first of all, they have nobody else that can really guard KD. Outside of, yes, Draymond's going to take the assignment, but he's probably going to have his hands full with DeAndre Ayton. On top of the fact that Kevin Durant shoots 91, 92% from the free throw line. If he's getting to the line a whole bunch, if Devin Booker's getting to the line a whole lot, it's going to cause some problems. Steph is going to outweigh what Chris Paul is able to do. Klay Thompson, if he can get going and we see game 6 Klay somewhere down the line, I think this series can go 7 games. I think this is one of those situations where the legacy conversation of, you know, is Kevin Durant going to punch his ticket and be thrust into the GOAT conversation? I think this is going to be one of those where he looks at Steph and say, hey, I was the the most important piece to that championship puzzle. Face to face, head to head, this is not something that Kevin Durant can lose in the eyes of the public. I know Kevin Durant doesn't view it that way. Me personally, I don't think I view it that way either. But in the public, you know, the view of public assumption, KD has to win this series. So does Devin Booker, because he talks a whole lot. If he doesn't get it done, he's just going to be in trouble as well. And they might even think to blow that team up. Trae Young's on the trading block. Chris Paul for Trae Young. Who knows what happens in that scenario? But Phoenix and Golden State. I got Phoenix in 6. Milwaukee, Philly. Does Embiid finally go to the finals? This series is going to depend on James Harden. James Harden struggles when Drew Holiday is on him. I think if Chris Middleton is healthy by this point, he's going to cause some issues for Philly. But this is going to come down to James Harden. Is James Harden able to be the second guy, elite, dominate, force the issue, cause problems? Which way I'm going? I'm going to flip a coin in my head. Giannis gets back to the NBA Finals. Okay? Here's what I say, why I say Giannis gets back to the NBA Finals. Giannis is like Kevin Durant, trying to punch their ticket into that GOAT conversation. Not by saying it so much, not by how they act, but simply their play is saying that mentally, physically, they are locked in on a different level. Coming into the playoffs, Giannis said just recently, of course, I'm going to want to win an MVP. I want to be that guy because I feel like I am that guy. And Kevin Durant, everybody's talking about him being thrust into the GOAT conversation if he gets another championship, this time without Stephen Curry. I think it has to come down to those two guys. They are arguably the two best players in the world. Embiid's played great. Joker's played great. But the absolute two best players in the league right now, in my opinion, when healthy, completely healthy, because KD hasn't been that, when completely healthy, is Giannis and KD. Now, we geared up for NBA Finals matchup. All right, so we got Phoenix and Milwaukee, NBA Finals. I don't think Phoenix gets it done. You know what? If I'm not mistaken, Milwaukee versus Phoenix went 6 games the first time around. Phoenix went up 2-0. Milwaukee came back 4 straight, closed them out in 6 games. Adding Kevin Durant to that equation, it only makes sense that Phoenix wins that series. I just don't mess with Devin Booker like that. But if you're going to be that guy, you got to get the job done, KD. You're going to get it done. Point margin for game 1 of the finals, 8-point game. 6-point game. All right. NBA Finals 2023. I got the Phoenix Suns in 6 versus the Milwaukee Bucks in a rematch of the 2021 NBA Finals. Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. That's one more for the good guys. It's Heat Nation on this side. Rep your team. Drop it in the comments. Let me know who you're rooting for this season. I'm out.
He's heating up.